J.P. Benjamin advocated new technology to make processing sugar more efficient, hoping to increase sugarcane production. In 1933, President Roosevelt introduced the AAA, the Agricultural Adjustment Act, within days of his inauguration. The Agricultural Adjustment Administration supplied farmers with beneficial payments in return for limiting acreage given to staple crops. The AAA was within President Roosevelt's plans for the New Deal program. J.P. Benjamin's idea was used to help sugarcane production. A quote by him is, "It consists in cutting the canes into extremely thin slices and then submitting them into the action of a mixture of lime and water, thus permitting the extraction of the whole of the sugar with the soluble salts by means of water." The AAA controlled the supply of 7 basic crops. These crops consisted of corn, wheat, cotton, rice, peanuts, tobacco, and milk. The main goal of the AAA was to save the amount of crops we harvest rather than being wasteful. They created a carryover of 13 million bales of cotton, changing the price of cotton to 6 cents a pound. The cotton planters would plow under 1/4 to 1/2 of their cotton in order to increase the value of existing and future supplies. The majority of farming that happened throughout the Great Depression was within the south of the U.S. Now you may be asking, why was the AAA created? Well, the purpose was to promote the marketing of agricultural products through cooperative and stabilization corporations. The act authorized a revolving fund of $500 million in low-interest loans for the purchases, handling, and sale of certain agricultural surpluses by corporates and stabilization corporations to stabilize process. Well, now it all comes down to supply and demand. There were adjustments upwards and downwards. If there is a normal carryover in basic crop, then by a mutual constant, they would reduce the next year's crop in a given year and then increase the next year's crop to make up for the shortage. So in the end, the AAA created the Agricultural Adjustment Act in order to make sure we farmed with an efficient purpose where things were kept economically stable to leap us out of the Great Depression. Thank you for watching. Hope you learned about the AAA and agricultural things back within the Great Depression. My first question is, what crops did they grow during the Agricultural Adjustment Act? The 7 main crops were corn, wheat, cotton, rice, peanuts, tobacco, and milk. My next question was, what were the benefits of being a farmer? Well, since they were farming and helping with the economy, giving people food, farmers get benefits from the government since the government promotes that. So since the farmers may not have enough money to have their own water and whatnot, the government or the AAA will supply them with water subsidies so they can farm their food to sell. Next question was, what was the farming situation before the AAA? Well, it was a very bad situation because the overproduction of crops were being overproduced and the market was shrinking, so prices of food was having to go down. So basically what was happening was they were making tons and tons, they were harvesting all their crops and then after they harvested all their crops, they couldn't sell any of it because nobody could buy it. So then it was just a big waste of money, and then they had no money to make more crops. So that was where it was a big problem. So then they ended up fixing that by lowering prices and farming more efficiently. At first, they farmed only half their crops, so they still had crops left over, and different adjustments like that. Like one price adjustment was the original price of cotton was 13 cents, and then it went down to 6 cents. Another question was, how did the farmers feel about the AAA? Did it do well, and how long did it last? The farmers obviously liked it a lot because of their benefits, and it gives them jobs because a lot of people didn't have jobs then. The AAA started in 1933 and ended in 1945. It worked very well to adjust the way we farmed so we could economically help our way through the New Deal to push our way out of the Great Depression.
Don't worry, I won't say anything.
Oh, nice.
Alright, now I'm going to answer 5 more of my questions. My first question is, was labor popular for children on the farms? And it was. It was very common to find childs working on farms during the Great Depression. For many reasons, it was just considered a good thing, and that it built character within kids, and it was good to have as help as adults. My next question is, how long did the AAA last? The Agricultural Adjustment Administration was active from 1933 to 1945. My next question is, how did lowering the price of crops help? Well, by having the prices high, during the Great Depression, people didn't have money, so they couldn't buy the crops. So they had no choice but to lower the price of crops from 13 cents to 6 cents to make it affordable, and they could gain profit from their crops. What decided how much a farmer got in support? Well, the difference between subsidies for different farmers was based off of what they grew. As you can see in this chart, out of the 100% of total subsidies the government supplied, different amount of that money was supplied to different farmers that farm different types of crops. So for example, farmers that farmed grains or corn got 35% of the government subsidies. My last question is, did farmers invest in stock?
No, they invested.
Well, yes, if they wanted to. Many different people in America invested in stock if they wished. Now, during the stock market crash, it was a bad period, and people's investments were wiped out and shaken. Bank failures erased the savings of those who weren't even invested in the stock market, and people were shattered. All throughout the market crash was unavoidable. Bank failures could have been prevented with better regulation. So many different people were affected by the stock market crash, including farmers.